Hey, what it do, Fit Fam? It's your girl May and T, and welcome to another episode of Bikini Talks with your girl and
May and T,
you know what it do.
welcome
All right,
back.
let them know what we're gonna talk about today, T.
This is a new episode. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. So, we're actually talking about like mental health in achieving your ideal body through tummy tuck. So, we're gonna talk about May because she just went through tummy tuck, and we're gonna go through like her journey and what she actually, how she's got into it and what made her decide to do it. So, we're gonna start by asking her some questions. So,
I'm in the hot seat today.
yeah, you are. But then, aren't you happy that we've been bugging about this for a while to like get your interview?
Yeah, I know. This has been something that we've been meaning to do, but life happens. Just like with anyone else, and so we are here now, and we're gonna discuss.
No, I mean, I have to like give props to May because it's not an easy decision to get into like, okay, like when do you really want to get your tummy tuck done? Like, what led her into this? And, like bodybuilding has been a big part of her life as well, but has it really been bodybuilding that made her decide to get tummy tuck? So we're going to get into it and we're going to know more. So tune in.
Juicy
So
details.
first things first. So when did you get your surgery, by the way?
I got it April 7th. It's actually been over 2 months since my surgery.
Okay. So how do you feel about it now? Like, do you think you made the right decision? And how long did it take you to actually think about tummy tuck?
I feel really good about the way I look right now, even though I'm swollen. I feel that I know for sure, 100% for sure that I made the right decision. And what made me decide to get my surgery was, I always wanted to. So let me rewind a little bit. Let's go around the block and let me tell you how this all started. So I used to be overweight, and when I lost weight, it was a gradual loss of weight, right? And so I decided, like I'm gonna lose all this weight. Then I got on stage, and it wasn't until I got on stage is when I started seeing like that extra skin, because you get super lean. And I kind of stayed at that weight for a while too, like not the stage weight, but like this weight where I was walking around with extra skin. And like I would always tell people, like I'm gonna be that one chick on stage that has the skin and eventually like place like top 5, or I'm gonna win even regardless with my skin. And I try to change my posing where I twisted hella hard, and I tried all these different things to try to get my skin tighter. There's so many different things out there that you can try. There was like something called the Venus, where they apply this type of it was like a radio frequency that got really hot, that targeted your fat and was supposed to stimulate collagen. So I did that. Then I did the other thing, the microneedling thing, where they like put a bunch of dots on your stomach. I did that, and I totally forgot because I tried so many different things. And if you add the amount of money that I spent, because I was against tummy tucks, I'm like, like I'm gonna floss my extra skin. Like I had 2 kids. This is my weight loss journey. Like I'm good, right? Like, so in my head, I was thinking that all the while I was like, in my bathtub, watching my skin float back and forth. And then like, I would always I would sit here, like now I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, like there's nothing to pinch. Like but prior to that, I would sit here and like I wonder how it would look. I would be in front of the mirror. So I would be in front of the mirror like this, like I wonder, like, and I would just like, make it all small so I can see like how my waistline would look. It was that extreme, right? And so I think in the back of my mind, like I always wanted it, but I was fighting it. So I had like two voices in my head. One was saying, fucking just do it. Whoops, excuse my French. And the other side was, nah, you don't need it. Like you need to love your body.
Did any of the judges mention about your extra skin at all that kind of like pushed you a little bit more in your decision, or has anybody said anything about?
I never had a judge, after a show tell me, but I do know somebody, and that somebody, told me.
Do you think that person had
Yeah.
big influence in making your
Yes.
decision?
Not oh, fudge. Okay, so I'm trying to say it without saying it, but yeah, this person, told me. I mean, I had a lot of birdies in my head that told me, but this one particular one, I think, was like, you should really consider getting it. And I valued her, um, like her opinion, because she actually does judge. And so I never had a judge tell me, but I did ask, like, my coach, like, is it because of my skin? And then, she said yes. And it's most likely, the judge, they're not going to tell you. So your coach is the one that's going to tell you, yeah. And then I was like, I fought it. I was like, nah, I don't need it. Then, I went through consultations and I said, F it. And here we are 2 months later.
So actually, when you were dealing with your skin back then, when you're competing, in what way did you have to make adjustments? So, like you said, something in your posing, did you have to hide it in a certain pose so your extra skin wouldn't show?
Right. Yeah.
Did that hinder you from placing, you think, or did you think that?
I think so, because I stood a certain way, like my front pose compared, like, with bikini, where we stand a certain way with our front pose. And my front pose was like, I was like it was a model pose, right? So my front pose would be a model pose, which made my waist look super small, and it would hide my skin. And that's the only reason why I did my front pose that way, so I can hide my skin. But when you look at everybody that was on stage with me, nobody else was standing like that except for me.
Did that make you uncomfortable at all? Like, like having to like change your posing the way, like not everybody does it, or?
It didn't make me feel uncomfortable. But I did have a few people ask, like, why was I standing like that? And, it made me think, like, I never really thought about it. I'm just like, whoa, okay, cool. My waist looks good. But then, when you do comparisons and everybody's like, get their front pose, like, what the hell is this girl doing?
So what was the biggest push before you actually made a decision to that's it. I'm done. I know I don't want to get tummy tuck. I'll try everything before getting it done. When you tried everything, what was the actual push and say, I want to get it done?
Well, I'm going to say it was two things, but I'm going to have to be honest, because I always said that I would never allow like me competing to help me make this decision. But I think after my last show and after I put in all that work to not be placed where I thought I would have been placed, like it really like emotionally it really hurt me. Like it actually, like I was like hella sad. Like I would cry, because I was just like, I don't understand, like I work so hard. And
I remember that I got the FaceTime call and you're like,
was that when I was at the show, or was it after? It was after.
It was after prejudging. You called me, and I do remember that, and I felt really bad because I
wasn't crying. I was holding it in because I had makeup. Okay.
You were, but at the same time, you were like, I need to like cry. But at the same time, like I felt really bad because I've supported you, and I know I've like gone through from your start of prep to actual show day.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we practiced your posing and how many times we,
Hella.
like just push harder and like try to train as much as we could,
Yeah.
I know that feeling as well, but like I know you work really hard for that show.
Yeah. And I was down for a while, and I know, it's just like I every time I do a show, it's always to beat my previous package, and that's usually the case. And I did, and I never let the placing ever bother me at all. Like, I mean, it maybe a little, but not as much as this one bugged me. Like I was like really hard on myself, and I really like felt like I was ignored. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, you go here, you guys switch, and then I was just there, and like, you know what I mean? Like I just felt like, damn, I worked this hard, and I know it's all subjective or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, damn, I don't ever want to feel that way again. Like, you know what I mean? Like I put in all that work, and I want to let my physique speak and show them what's up. And so, I mean, it's a few things, but I think that bodybuilding and that last show actually pushed me a little bit harder. But I did bail out on my surgery once.
I
Yes.
did. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You did tell me. So yeah, tell them about that. Like, but how did you actually um, found your doctor? How did you get started in like researching? Like for tummy tuck.
The doctor that I ended up with is someone I found through Yelp. I actually did Yelp. I looked at Yelp reviews. I looked at Google reviews. I did, as a matter of fact, had a consultation with someone else prior to Dr. Pancholi. But as with anything in life and the people that you meet, it's all about energy. And so I felt like Dr. Pancholi and his staff, they made me feel safe. I felt good. And I like how they talked to me about all the different possibilities, like that the other doctor I went to, right? He's like, oh, we're just gonna do this. But this doctor talked about like how that they talked about the procedure, and not only that, they're like, well, if you're gonna get a tummy tuck, we should work on your. So not only did I get a tummy tuck, I got something called Renuvian on my back, so that everything looked proportioned and not like my front was flat and then my back still had that extra skin. So they did something to help tighten the back of my skin. So based on like just the energy and his credentials, I did look at other pictures that of his previous agents, his previous patients, and so I liked what I saw, and that's how I ended up with him. And it's just his stat, it's just all about energy and what you feel, and then like obviously his credentials. So if all of that lines up, then you're all good.
From the time you actually had your first consultation with Dr. Pacholi, right? How long did it take you to like schedule your surgery? Like from the consultation, it took you like, okay, let's schedule it in a month and then we'll get you scheduled.
I think it was in January when I started talking to him.
And then you had your surgery April, right? So that took like, a few months before you actually scheduled it.
And I did pay him, and I can't remember if I paid him. It was before you went to Philippines.
That was in February.
Okay, so I probably paid him sometime around January. I set my date.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you left, I had no one to talk to, and I was lost. And I was lost.
You really took it so hard that I left, and I did talk to her for a bit.
I was lost. I had no one to talk to. I actually was thinking really hard to myself, and I was just like back and forth, between the.
It was like a really ping pong, yeah.
Yeah, and I decided that I didn't want to get the tummy tuck anymore after I paid him, a deposit to lock the date. So, you came back, I told you came back, and I was like, I had the news. I'm like, I made a decision. I'm not getting the tummy tuck.
Yeah, it was funny because I remember you scheduled it and you were ready, and then you actually bailed out.
I did.
And then, like we talked, and then, all of a sudden she's like back.
Right.
Schedule.
Yeah. So I had, I'm not sure what her role is, but she's the one that I talked to the most. When I had questions, she was my go-to person. And so she was keeping in touch with me, and she called me one day when I was coming from, I was going somewhere. So she called me and she's like, hey, just wanted to follow up with you. So did you decide what you wanted to do? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to get Botox with the money that I gave you guys. And she's like, okay, but
Botox?
why? Yeah, I went from a tummy tuck to a Botox. Like, what's the Botox there? Because I didn't know what to do with the money. Like, you either use it or you need to use it. Mm-hmm. And they allowed me to use. They do other things in their office. So I told her that, she's like, okay, you're gonna do Botox, but why are you not doing the tummy tuck? And I told her that I told everybody I was scared. It was a big surgery, and I was afraid that I was gonna die. So leading up to my surgery, I felt like leading up to my surgery, I was very emotional. Super emotional. But I was really emotional, And I don't normally take things personal from anyone, but like tea is like a major part of my life, and her opinion counts. And so like I took it some kind of way. I felt some type of way, and the same thing. Same thing with with my coach, telling me something too. I got like super emotional. But you guys were the only two that like got me where it like
But yeah, like she was definitely, like leading to the surgery, I could understand that she was very nervous because I know May, she doesn't like surgeries. She's scared of surgeries.
I don't.
And
Yeah.
you have that tendency when you're nervous, you get to be a little emotional. You have all these feelings like, you're nervous, excited, at the same time you're thinking of other possibilities that could happen,
Death.
right?
Death.
And I could like that. I mean, at a certain point I could, but because I'm not the type who, like I don't get scared of surgeries. Like I'm just in a different, so for me, it wasn't like as much of a, like I keep on telling her it's gonna be okay. Don't, think of the positive, think of like the,
Wow.
the good things that can happen out of it, and like how you're gonna feel after this. It's like, do you really want this done? Because at the end of the day, if you are like so nervous and you're not confident with your doctor and what they're going to do for you, and you're focusing on the negative, then maybe you shouldn't do this, because obviously you're not ready. You have to be ready to do this.
Yeah.
So that's just like my advice to somebody who's going to go through like like a surgery, because being a friend to somebody who's doing a surgery, you really have to be supportive and understand where they're coming from, and like do a check if they're actually ready to get it done. Because like having to have that conversation over and over, it's just kind of like, do you really want this done? Do you really want this done? Do you want to push it back? Why are you pushing it back? Like, if you're going to push it back and you don't want to get it done, are you going to think of other ways to get it done, but
Right, and that's
not
what I was
with the
doing.
results that you need? Are you really going to be happy at the end of the day of your decision? So like for me, I just sort through things, like just like, what is it, you get underneath, and what do you really want? Like you dig into to your friend's brain, and it's like, or in her heart, like what do you really want?
Yeah.
And like just keep her focused, and like keep her like in the right, where it's like, think of the positive things.
Yeah, this is something that's very common for people who decide on getting like such a huge surgery like this. I started a channel on YouTube that just talks about like my weekly progress, and I noticed that during my recovery, I found a lot of people that got tummy tucks, and people who are thinking about getting it are on Instagram, and I see the emotional turmoil that they go through prior to that surgery, and it's a common theme across the board. People are just scared. They're scared, and then you watch you hear these stories about people who got a mommy makeover and they died. So it does scare people. It's because it's a risk that you take, just like with it's any surgery. It's not only a tummy tuck. It's with any surgery. There might be you might have an adverse effect to something. You know what I mean? But anyways, going back to like your main question was that I spoke with the representative that handles the scheduling and talks to people like me, and she asked me like, is this did you really get this far to get this far?
Yeah, it's like good.
And then I was like, well, and I started talking about the negative things about like I can die. But then Dr. Pancholi had all these credentials, and she confirmed that there was no one that ever died under his watch, and that made me feel good. I mean, I didn't read anything, but it was comforting for her to say that again.
Yeah.
And then just the fact that I get this far to come this far, because I didn't lose weight overnight. It took me years. I wasn't like an overnight 1 year success, like, oh, look at me, I lost 60 pounds in 12 months. It was a slow and gradual process to get to where I'm at, and I kept it up for a long time. And this was just this was like the icing on the cake. That's what it is. It was the icing on the cake that solidified everything and allowed me to show the amount of work that I put into myself. Because you can see when I get small, I have the definition, but the skin always kind of blocks what I can actually showcase.
So what did you do to prepare for this surgery? When you
So
finally
I
pick
didn't
up the
really,
day.
yeah, so that during that call, I said, let's proceed. And I think I called you after, I can't remember if I called you after. I'm like, hey, I'm getting surgery. And you're
You
like,
always
whoa.
call me anyway, no matter what. It's like, hey, I just went to the doctor. Hey,
She's like my
I get
confident.
reports.
Yeah, she's my confident. Like I just like it's funny because I'm not really sure like how I used to do life without her. Like it's a trip because now it's like I'm like, yo T, like I don't know, like when I go through things I'm just like I gotta call T real quick. I text her. It's so weird. Like I don't even know how I did it before. But anyways, I let her know that I got it, and she's like, just you know, you were surprised, and I felt better. I actually felt better. Like the emotions that I was feeling wasn't as bad. But you know, I did. There was something else I was going through. We're not going to discuss that, but you know, there's something like emotionally where I didn't want to do it, but I knew that in my heart, in my mind, that I was making the right decision. Although it was scary, I was
Mm,
thinking about all the positive things.
yeah. So like now that since you've done the surgery, how's the recovery? Was it tough? Like, or even like on actual surgery day, how did you feel on surgery day?
Oh, surgery day was great. Like I got in there, I felt good. The nurses were amazing. Um, and I just remember getting up. I called you, Michelle, and Clint. You know, I called my husband and said, hey, I'm alive, because that was his concern. He
Mm-hmm.
thought I was gonna die, and so that was another thing I was going through, where my husband wasn't confident about me getting the surgery. So I called him to say I was alive, and I don't remember the conversations I had with you or Michelle. Like I just remember the nurse saying, you need to go back to sleep, get off your phone, and they took the phone away from me.
Yeah,
Then
and
the next,
I got a call from you, and it's like, oh, she was so happy. She was high on drugs. She was so happy she got off surgery, and she said, I did it. I was like, and then, yeah, like, Tommy is gonna pick me up. Like, she was like, she was talking though. She was talking, but she kept on asking what time it is. She probably had asked me like half a dozen times what time it is.
serious.
And I was just like, I think she's still drugged. And I was like, okay, I'll talk to you later. Okay, okay, bye. They're telling me to like hang up right now. Uh, and that was it. And I just waited for her. Like, but she was still good. Like she called me after a couple hours or 3 hours post surgery, and like when her son picked her up, and she was good.
Yeah,
She said, I
it
feel
was
really
funny.
good. She was still high.
I felt good. I was actually feeling really good. And then my son came, and then I was messing around. I think I was just messing around because I messed around a lot. And then, you know, I'm feeling good. So I'm going to ultra mess around. And so my son picked me up, and he had no idea you know, when you get out of surgery, you have these tubes. I had 3 tubes that filled with blood. So it's a tube that comes out. So it helps drain like the liquids that they put into you while you're going through surgery. And so he had no idea he had to do that. So I was like cracking up because I mean, I don't feel anything. So I was just like, oh, you got to clear my blood out. And then, so even have footage of that. It was pretty freaking funny. Then I get home and I'm getting up and I'm just like, I called you and I told you, I don't know what people complain about. Like, this shit doesn't hurt.
Yeah. It's like,
Not,
it was really good for the first 3 days, was it? Like,
well, no, it was like that. It was that whole day. I felt good until like the evening, like late at night when the drugs wore out. I was like, holy shit. Like I didn't want to move. Like I didn't want to breathe. It just hurt. Like it just hurt like so bad. Like it hurt so bad. Um, and I'm like, okay, this is the pain they're talking about. So, you know, I had my I set myself up so that when I got home, I had everything. I had all my, you know, I had a table with all my medication, my waters. Everything was set up. Then in my bed, I bought like this recliner. It was a wedge. So I'm like, I'll be fine. Oh, fudge. Like I needed help getting up. I needed help getting back into bed. Eventually the following day, because I got the surgery done on Friday. And then the following day is when a lot of people are hitting me up on Instagram and they're like, you should get a recliner. So I got a freaking recliner. I rented a recliner for a whole week. and the recliner allowed me to like easily get up because it
Yeah, it helped you like
lifted
push
me
up
up,
and
and
up. Yeah.
it helped me out because all the tugging and people helping me get up from the bed or from the couch was too extreme for me. Every single movement hurt so bad. So I'm gonna say the 3 days. The first day was okay until I got to the evening, and then when I got to like that week, I think the first 3 days are the hardest. You
Hmm.
feel everything, and then eventually you get better over time, and it's kind of like a wave of feelings. So I got the wave of feelings. So
So, now that you're actually recovered, it's been what, 2 months, or has it been 3 months?
yeah, it's been
What
9 weeks.
is it? What, 6 weeks?
9 weeks.
9 weeks. So, like a little over 2 months. Okay,
Mhm.
post surgery. How do you feel now?
I feel good. I feel good. I felt so good that I went back to the gym and acted like I was going through prep, but not
Oh my
lifting.
gosh. So did you actually, when is the advisable, I guess, I mean, everybody kind of heals differently, like some people recover a little bit faster than others. Was yours a little bit more like on the average, or is it like you're actually recovering much faster than others because you worked out before, you have a maybe
Yeah,
stronger core and legs and than others?
I
And
think yeah. You're right, because I worked out, so my leg strength actually helped me out. Because what I would do, there was a technique to everything that I did because it hurt if I moved a certain way. So utilizing my leg strength to get me to move around is what helped in like disengaging my core. So the whole like because I work out, I know how to disengage certain muscles. So I was able to disengage my core, use my leg muscles, and not only that, like if we go back to like prior to my surgery, I followed everything because I was afraid. So I
mhm.
made sure I stopped using all my supplements. I got on this regimen where I took these supplements that were going to help me when I get into surgery and help me recover. So I did that for a good like 2 months.
Mhm.
And I just want to say, before you guys do any supplements, you got to talk to your doctor. Every doctor is going to be different. I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm just saying in my case, I took the supplements and it did help me recover faster. According to my doctor, my heels were healing faster. And I even had a nurse come over and she said that I'm compared to some of the other people that she worked with, I was doing really good. And I think all the supplements that I did prior and after, like post.
So when was the clearance given to you to actually go work out? Like,
At
and
six.
what type of workout can you actually start with, like after tummy tuck?
So I went in thinking that I was good to not lift heavy, but make sure that I was listening to my body when I worked out. So I did everything light, but the problem with me is I'm extra, and my doctor didn't realize I was extra. So I went in and I started like I did, yeah. I worked out for 6 days and I did like fasted and post cardio, like I was training for like a prep. So I guess my advice, and I started feeling something because you got to think about my doctor. So when you get a tummy tuck, they actually just sew that your midsection together, right? That line.
Hmm.
But he actually sewed the sides in together to sculpt my abs. I had no idea he did that. So what I was feeling on the side, because I had to quit working out for a week to kind of allow my body to reduce the swelling because I was actually swelling up.
Did he say that you can actually start working out like 6 weeks post surgery, or?
No, I so he doesn't know I'm a gym junkie. So I probably should have been more specific, and I didn't hold anything back. I just didn't know, like I didn't know the right questions to ask. Just with anything, you don't really know until you mess around and you find out. So I told I told
Maybe
them
I
like,
always want to try to mess around before.
so I messed around and I found out that I should have taken it easier, you
Mm.
know, reduce my working out from like, 6 days a week to like maybe 3 or 4, and not have to do so much cardio, and, maybe start off with bands.
She did start with bands, but she saw the dumbbells too and the other equipment. and
Yeah.
she was like, "Let me test it out." That's what
Yeah.
happened. That's May. That's Curious May. You know how like Curious George is? That's Curious May.
So yeah, Sunday.
Linda. I'm officially announcing to everybody that we call her Linda because you know that kid before who would talk to his mom and it's like, Linda, Linda, listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda, listen. Listen,
That's
Linda,
her.
listen.
That's her because she likes to do her thing. She'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, I won't do that. Okay, I'll just do bands. And then I see her at the gym and she posted, she's just like working out with some weights. And I'm like, what are you doing? Nothing. I was just trying it out.
I wanted to see how it felt. But the goal is, okay, I had this goal where I was going to start with bands and then gradually move up, but I just have
The
to.
goal was within an hour. within this 24 hours.
So we're taking it easy. We're going to do like 3 days, 3 to 4 days a week and, not push.
So
we're going to take the
doctor
bands up.
say to like slow down a bit, but she did
Yes.
get clearance to do workout, but maybe not the way May does it.
Well,
When she gets excited, she's really excited.
I lose focus. I just see machines and I'm like, ooh.
She's like in Disneyland. Like there's her La La Land.
It is. The gym is my Disneyland. So the doctor did tell me to kick back for a week. I told them exactly what I was doing and they're like, okay. They apologized to me and said maybe they should have clarified, what it was.
The doctor even apologized to you. It's part of not following.
They've never had anybody. I don't think they ever had anybody like me before, where like I'm excessive, and I don't know. Sometimes I just need someone to tell me like this is what you need to do. So like 3 to 4 days a week, take it easy, listen to my body, because over the weekend I did do a lot of walking and I was doing a lot. And then on top of that, I wasn't sleeping. So all of that comes into play because, just like with anything else, when you want to heal, you have to you need to sleep, allow your body to recover and, not work out 6 days a week. So my advice to anyone that's getting a tummy tuck, take it slow, start off with bands. Like, don't listen to me because I'm bad, but start off with bands, gradually work your way up to lighter weights. And then they say after like 6 months, you can go full force. 3 months is like a good place. Like my doctor said at 3 months, I should be able, he actually told me at 6 weeks, I can resume my normal day-to-day activities and the gym. So normal day-to-day activities for me is not the same for like someone else that doesn't have like the same like workout ethics like me. So I should have known better as a trainer, but I think I was just so excited to go back to the gym and I felt good and I was going light and I thought I was doing good, but start off light, listen to your body. If your body needs to rest, then you can tell like when your body needs to rest. Every single little micro stretch where you got the incision you're gonna feel it, and I felt it. So I had a little micro stretch on my incision, and that's what I felt.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up because I know we've went through over our time, but what can you actually say in advice to some bikini competitors, or whether they're competitors or not, who are thinking about tummy tuck? And one last thing, do you advise bikini competitors to go through tummy tuck if they ever actually are thinking about it or have thought maybe it's hindering them from placing?
So the first question was my advice. My advice is to make sure mentally you are prepared for it. Second is physically, make sure you're at a weight that you're comfortable with and not where you have to lose more weight. And when you're making those mental decisions, are you doing it for yourself? Who are you doing it for? And is it going to make you happy at the end of the day? And so for me, it made me happy. So the end results, it made me happy. And it's like, why didn't I do it sooner? It's just, I wasn't ready. It's just like when anything else, like if you're not ready for it, it's not going to happen. But I was ready. mentally and physically I was ready. And like as a competitor, I don't think you should ever do anything for the stage. Like you shouldn't make these type of big decisions because you want to look good on the stage. I mean, maybe there's a little piece of you that wants to do that, but it shouldn't be like your whole decision to
Mhm.
do. So just make sure that, you talk it over with your folks mentally and physically. You're in the right, mind space, and then physically you're at a weight that you've been at for a long time, because you don't want to go into the surgery and gain all that weight again
Mhm.
because, you weren't stable at that weight for however long.
Right, great advice. So if you guys are like even thinking about, like tummy tuck at this point, like reference on this video, because obviously, May has firsthand experience about it. Like what led her to it, and then through her surgery and post surgery. So tune in for more episodes later on. I know we're not going to talk about tummy tuck next time, but at least in this episode, if you are curious about doing tummy tuck, like May is going to be happy to like share more of her experience if you wanted to like hit her up. She is a great source of, like firsthand experience of, getting through tummy tuck. So again, guys, thank you for tuning in. May, thank you for sharing your journey with tummy tuck and bodybuilding. So hope you guys have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.
And make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, y'all. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for the support. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.